Hello and welcome back to All Systems Go Home, the revered iteration of the now award-winning show, All Systems Go. Congrats, everyone.
Yay!
Go us.
We've got Corey McGinnis, we've got Nicole Jones, we've got Kyle Eads.
That's me.
Yeah, it certainly is. So last week we had like a blowout with like 100 people. So this week it's going to be a little small, intimate. It's going to be reflective.
We weren't here last week.
No, we were busy suffering with finals.
That's
No,
right. And that's what I sort of want to get into at the beginning of the show. I'm calling this the Almost Summer Special because technically the season should be over, but we all protested because we wanted to keep doing this. So
I like talking video games with my friend.
Yeah, it's fun. So
And Jeremy.
Just putting aside all the COVID shit, like I just want to take the opportunity to like sort of reflect on how the season went and like some of our favorite moments. Maybe Kyle, I know your time is limited. You won't be coming back, but for the rest of us, some things that
Who knows at this point?
some things we'd still like to try and explore creatively in the future. So let's just say let's start with the award-winning producer Nicole Jones. Congratulations.
Oh, thank you. If I'm gonna cheer for Jess too, I'm sure she would be screaming right now and making really annoying
two-time
noises.
winner. Best
That's right.
She is.
Yes.
Incumbent winner.
reigning, ending.
So what were some of your goals with this season, and how do you think that it went?
Well, I think something that Jess and I really wanted to do was we kind of wanted to break the mold, because I know last season we kind of fell into like a pattern, and that was just because our cast was so small and Jess was literally the only producer. So it kind of made it hard to experiment with a lot of different things. So I think with a much larger cast, and I think our cast also just improved a lot more with like our hosts and everything, and we had a lot of good ideas going around. And I like how we did switch it up. I'm still not a big fan of that game show. I'm never gonna want a game show. I'm sorry.
Agree to disagree, but
Yeah, I agree with Jeremy.
I totally agree with you. I was considering like not coming back to the show at all at the beginning of the season, just because like I felt like we weren't really pushing our bounds. But seeing like all these casts come together with so many great ideas, and like I just feel like we just kept going up, right? And then like there was the abrupt cutoff. It's like, oh, sorry about that. And then everyone just getting so on the ball and just like continuing it with this show. It made me very satisfied, and like it made me excited to do it again.
Yeah, everyone's left me really impressed. I mean, obviously we didn't get to finish the season, but I still would have liked to see, how much more we could push it. But again, like every single meeting, every single post meeting, I felt like everybody always had something to say, or, I mean, we'd figure out something. Yeah.
Corey, what was your, let's just say, what's something that you think that we should do in the future?
Honestly, I might try the game show again if we actually think about it this time.
Yeah, I think...
Thought. Planning. Something that did not happen this semester.
It did not happen.
I don't know why we kept trying to do it live. I think, like, even Jeopardy is pre-recorded. Like, you got to edit all the really awkward moments. But, yeah, I think there's... Sometimes you gotta screw up so you can get it right later.
Yeah.
I mean, every show has their bad episodes, so it happens.
I didn't even think it was...
No, I actually thought it was really fun, just because I didn't have anything to do with the... I was on camera, so I was just, like, cracking up at the Seinfeld jokes.
Oh, no, I think it wasn't even... It was just like, the planning said that went poorly. Because, like, as somebody who had no idea what was going on, just watching it live, not seeing what was going on with the producers panicking, I was having a blast. I thought it was hilarious.
Yeah.
I thought it went well.
Absolutely. Kyle, what would you say has been your highlight of the season, or even any of the seasons you've been on?
Man, sadly, I think because I've been doing TV, I did TV for so long, all the memories, even the fresh ones, kind of blend together with stuff I've done. The only really thing that sticks out, I don't even know if it's my favorite memory, would probably be Dan. I want to say Dan just in general, but specifically mostly like vamping off him, because normally in like the conversations I have, I'm the funny, like witty, like at least I try to be like the random kind of off the wall humor. But working with Dan, like I got to be, for lack of a better way to say it, the straight man in the group. I was just the more serious, and it was so fun somehow to be that like serious, like what is going on type person, especially specifically with him changing into a girl.
Yeah, D'Angelina.
Because no one told me about that, and then
That was the point.
We know.
it happened to me.
My favorite
And I'm
part
like,
was that there was never a follow-up to that.
Yeah, because was that the
was
last
just
episode?
a weird non sequitur.
It was.
Oh man,
We planned
what
to
a way
follow
go
up
out. If we had, and I think that's something I will express with TV2 as a whole. I wish one-off things didn't stay one-off things, because this just is more like what the kind of content I consume. I want like even non-serialized media to have a story that go on throughout.
And even the idea, just from a creative standpoint, it's like it's one thing to just try something really out there just once, and that's great. That can lead to a lot of like lightning in a bottle stuff. But using that experience and just trying to refine it and trying to make it even better, that's something that I really love, and I really value that about this process.
Yeah. And I think that's something that, like, this season especially, with, like I said, I've done TV2 pretty much, I did it for my entire college life. But this season, it was some of the most fun I've had, just like in those rooms having meetings with people, because like early on I was doing sketch comedy, and it just was kind of a thing. Like I was just there, I wasn't actively involved, and then I became more involved to the point where I was producing, and it just wasn't fun. And I thought, okay, well maybe this just isn't for me. I became like program director, but like I missed like the rush of being there week in and week out doing something, being live on content, just hosting. And it's some of the most fun I've had just in the last 4 years I've been here.
So just to end off this section, just what are some of your goals for the next season, I guess, or even just your future?
I still want to try and do a lot of new things. I still think that there's more that we can do.
Yeah. I need to get Premiere again, because I want to make videos again. My subscription ran out.
Well, you can renew it.
I know. I'm waiting for the opportune moment so that it lasts the longest.
Yeah, smart.
What about you, Corey?
I'm not gonna lie, I just like being an AP. It's that nice balance between the sort of stuff a producer has to do with like dropping videos, keeping the show on track, but also being in the thick of all the talent and the products.
Yeah, sometimes the in-between guy is the guy to be.
Yeah.
We all know your favorite thing to do is to make graphics.
You right.
Oh, shout out to Kyle Miller for our fancy graphics.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yes.
I wanted to make a new version of the show opening as well, just because that thing needs a refresh.
You can do that. I don't want to do that.
That's another thing. I was like, because we have that like subscription to LinkedIn Learning or whatever, and I was like, I should teach myself some editing skills, just because I got nothing else going on.
Or talk to Tracy, or whoever our new ops manager will be.
Tracy doesn't want
Oh my
to talk
gosh,
to me,
shut up, phone.
apparently. What? You getting a phone call?
No, I got a text.
Cold
Sorry.
phone.
All right. So, I enjoyed that. Now it's time to get on to the more regular programming for this show, which is just talking about our lives and the things we've been consuming like good little pigs this past week. All right, so I think it's time for our weekly Power Rangers update, don't you?
It's I don't know. It's been 2 weeks since the last time, but I think haven't really been that major updates. Honestly, I watched the movie,
Which
the Power
one?
Rangers. So it's the second movie that was made because it's the first though to be canon in the Power Rangers universe. And boy howdy, is it! It's if the complaint about the newest Power Rangers movie was they're not Power Rangers for long enough, this movie's the same way. Like, you see them transform into the Power Rangers once in the first hour of the movie. This movie's only an hour and 20 minutes.
Is this the same scenario where they're reusing footage for the Power Rangers?
I don't think so.
Okay. 'Cause I was
really-
gonna
I
say, if they
think
only
all-
had like 30 minutes of Power Rangers footage to work with, then it might be.
No, I think it's all new footage. Granted, I will give them this. It is new, like, it's a new set of powers. This is how they introduce going from the Zeo powers to the Turbo powers, which is a whole new, like, Sentai. But if that's the case, then they should have more Sentai footage to work with because you're introducing a whole new set and you have the whole season of Sentai to work with. But
You have a
sadly, you don't see
cornucopia
that.
of Sentai.
Exactly. But it's still weird to me. The action, like, is real cool. The problem is, to me, the biggest problem in that movie is Justin, the little kid Power Ranger that they have. He is a 10-year-old kid that becomes Power Ranger. Every kid's dream. Man, is he annoying in that movie because he's just like they treat him like he's no different than any other Power Ranger that's been, and that's the weirdest thing, that there's no change in dynamic with a whole new character.
Is he like the kind of... Sorry.
No,
Go ahead. Is he the kind of person that's like, oh my god, like, Dan, I want to tag along. I don't know why I said Dan. I want
No.
to tag along.
No, and I think I could have dealt with that because there'd be some characterization. He's just like another member of the group who, like, they introduce him as he's this kid whose dad isn't around and his mom is no longer around. They insinuate the mom passed away or whatever, and the dad, like, can't take care of him all the time. And he's just this sad kid who finds out the Power Rangers are, like, his friends. And then like there's all these moments of, like, characterization that they didn't have time in the movie to expand on. So, like, and that's another thing that upsets me is, like, in order to understand the movie, sometimes you have to have watched. You will have to watch the show, and, like, you can't do that if you want this movie to be standalone, it was in theaters, so it kind of has to be. But I don't know. It's still a fun movie if you like Power Rangers. I'm not gonna complain, even though I did. And then Turbo is probably, so far as I finish it up tonight, is probably my least favorite season so far of the, I think it is 5. It's such a slog to get through. The villains suck. The new Rangers that they have no character. And it's some of the most ridiculous moments. They get baked into a pizza at one point in the season.
They what?
The Power Rangers get baked into a pizza. I'm not kidding.
And that's amore.
Is it how big is it? Is the pizza?
It's like, I mean, it's got 5 Rangers all melted in it. So I guess.
Like, are they like a pepperoni piece? Like a...
No, it's like they're just covered. It's like being trapped in a blanket, except instead of a blanket, it's cheese and sauce and bread, kind of. Well, like, it's
This
so
sounds
tight
like a
they
dream
can't
I
get
had
out.
once. So,
Man, but I have
at
a
risk
whole-
of spoiling the episode, how do they escape the pizza?
Well, a new character that they added, called the Blue Centurion, who is a cop, so you can't trust him, helps out the Rangers, and he, like, breaks the machine that's, like, because as they're being baked into a pizza, they're in this giant microwave or something like that. And yeah, it's so the 6th Ranger basically comes out and helps them.
Are they fighting a pizzeria?
Kind
Is that
of.
the villain?
They basically fight the Italian stereotype. That's basically what they fight.
Ooh.
That guy.
Also, the last thing I'll mention for this season, there's literally an episode where Justin, who is the Kid Ranger, is convinced that the rest of the group are robots. And then, like, 2/3 of the way the episode, you find out, oh my gosh, they are robots. And then he finds out that he's a robot, and the Rangers built sentient robots with the ability to, one, pass the Turing test to come off as human, and convinced a robot that he was human, so much so that, like, he didn't even know it. And it's the most, like, sci-fi thing ever, and they just pass it off as if nothing happened.
Yeah, if that show was being made today, that would be like a really interesting episode. That could be a whole season.
Episode. It's such an interesting episode.
Westworld season 4.
And then they just forget about it.
It's just a one-off.
Yes, they just send them off to another planet to be Power Rangers of those planets.
That's whack.
I was like, what? Oh, this show is amazing.
So if you had to plot your enjoyment of all the Power Rangers on a line graph, what would the trend be looking like right now?
So it's hard because Mighty Morphin has 3 seasons, but if I break those down by each one, I think season 2 of Mighty Morphin, season 1 of Mighty Morphin, season 3.
Are we talking about like their actual strength in the world, or are we talking about which one has the best season, like which is enjoyable?
I don't. Purely enjoyment.
I think season 2, season 1, Zeo, season 3, and then this is Turbo. And yeah, and the movie's probably somewhere in between Zeo and Turbo.
All right.
But yeah.
Well,
a lot of Power Rangers still left to go, though.
There's about 17 years left, so keep on it.
Honestly, I think you're right, with 17 seasons left, yeah.
Okay, so has anyone else been watching a movie, or should we transition to a different medium?
I have watched movies. So I watched Parasite for the first time. It was interesting. I can see why it got a lot of hype around it. I mean, I don't have a whole lot more to add because everything's already been said about it. It's all like, oh, it's about like how the difference between classes and
Are you belittling this movie about an important social issue?
No. I'm saying that people have already said all the things that they want to say about Parasite, and I don't have anything else to add.
Why'd you bring it to a podcast?
Because I watched the movie, and I wanted to say that I watched it because that means I'm in the in-group.
Okay. I don't know anything about it, but cool.
I like that. I like the ending, how he like crushes... Oh, wait. Maybe I shouldn't talk about that.
No, just I like the beginning of the sentence spoiler, because that leads me to all sorts of like possibilities in my head.
Where he crushes something.
Yeah, it's like, what is he crushing?
Yeah.
Is he crushing a can of Mountain Dew? Or is
he crushing the patriarchy?
Yeah. I mean, really, the possibilities are endless.
He's doing both. But okay, fine. I won't talk about Parasite, but I will talk about Kiki's delivery service. And we talked about this a little bit. So Kiki's delivery service is actually like, I mean, yeah, a kid can watch it and just be like, oh, yay, it's a witch flying around and delivering bread. But there are other parts to it where how it's supposed to be all about artists or any kind of creative, really, any kind of freelancer, like a musician. I do photography, so that's where it relates to me. Where they talked about, like, for example, I felt like it got a little too real. I felt like this movie was attacking me at some times because, for example, she meets a witch on her way there. And she's all like, hey, what's up? And then the witch is all like, oh my God, like, I'm a fortune teller. Like, that's my specialty. What's your specialty? And then Kiki's just like, oh, crap, I don't know. And I was like, oh no, I don't know what I'm doing with photography. But then she finds her thing. And I don't know. It's just, I think if you haven't watched that movie in a while, if you're any kind of creative, like any kind of artist, graphic designer, anything like that, I think that you should rewatch it because I feel like you'll probably be able to feel that it's really relatable. Although it might attack you in some ways like it did for me.
what would you say your mood was leaving it? Were you feeling re-energized or just depressed?
I felt fine. I would say it was like at the initial point where it's kind of like, oh, she figures out her thing. She figures out her thing again and kind of like gets re-inspired.
She gets a new groove.
I didn't feel re-inspired because I haven't hit the point of burnout yet. So that's probably why I kind of feel kind of neutral toward the end. I'm sure if I do hit that point of burnout for whatever it is that I do, I'll probably want to watch it again.
All right. Who else has seen it? Because I don't even know what it is.
It's what?
I was going to ask if either of the other two have seen it.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, what is that? Kiki's? I've not. I've honestly only seen bits and pieces of Ghibli movies.
Yeah.
Spirited Away is my favorite.
When I was like 7, I saw the Totoro movie at a friend's house, and I was like, something is weird. I can't put my finger on it, but something is strange.
Was it a big bear cat?
It was strange in the same way that the Pokemon show was strange to me, and I was like, this thing is rubbing me the wrong way. I don't know what it is, but I don't like it.
Does it make you uncomfy?
It made me.
Is it because it's anime?
That's what I discovered eventually.
Jeremy hates things that aren't like him. Jeremy hates.
But to be fair, Totoro's... wait, what? What's the movie? My Neighbor Totoro.
My Neighbor Totoro.
And what's the Totoro's delivery service?
Totoro delivered Ponyo away.
But to be fair, that one's overrated. That's right, I'm gonna say it.
Fair.
I was like 7 at the time. I didn't.
That's why you felt uncomfy, because it was the worst one.
Okay, so you're saying if I watched the Kiki one instead, I would love anime right now?
Yeah.
Probably.
That's
He's making a joke.
Experiment.
It's not gonna like it. Well,
I feel like those movies are so different from everything else. It's like a totally different attitude.
Like anime movies in general?
No,
or just Ghibli?
That studio, yeah.
Yeah, Studio Ghibli's different than like an anime movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
However, I will say there are really good anime movies that I think even Jeremy.
Except Tales of Earthsea, we don't have to mention her. She doesn't exist. No one even knows what that movie is.
Yeah, no one was going to mention it until you mentioned it.
Because it's bad.
Then why'd you bring it up?
Because that's still like
for 2 right now.
It's still somewhat of a
update.
popular.
I remember what that is.
Okay, there we go.
Tales of Earthsea?
We got someone.
Yeah.
Poopy.
Not.
Valid.
Let's mention a good anime movie like Your Name, which is Chef's Kiss.
Okay, well, that was your anime minute. We're keeping it brief. Now...
Can I have my anime minute real quick?
No, Nicole used our whole minute.
Yeah, the whole minute is gone. I'm sorry.
No, let him talk about his show. I like that show.
Okay, but she was talking about Ghibli. That doesn't count.
That doesn't count.
Yes,
I'm
it
really
does.
sorry, but you should have worked this out beforehand. We're on a strict rationing schedule right now.
1, 2, 3, go.
No, we're not.
Talk about it.
I watched Free again.
Yes.
That's nice
That's
for
it.
you. Okay.
It's the one with the gay boys.
Moving on to XCOM.
Oh, Mario Rabbids? Yeah.
Okay, so we all remember a few episodes ago I was talking about the announcement of the XCOM game Chimera Squad.
Yeah.
You might have forgotten about it because there's so much that happened between then and now.
I did.
In that time, the game has come out. I have completed it. I even reviewed it. You can find the link on my Twitter. So I just want to briefly go over what it is and some of the differences between the other XCOM games, because it does do a few interesting things. Not all of them, I think, work, but some of them are pretty cool. So in a traditional XCOM game, there's, the old XCOM games from the 90s, which I don't know anything about. Then they rebooted it with XCOM 1 and 2, some expansions for those. Very well loved. Everybody loves them. And they're strategy games where there's aliens attacking, and you have to shoot the aliens in a tactics style game. And Most importantly, you get these random soldiers that come in, but you can just change everything about them. You can customize how they look. You can name them after your friends or enemies, and then you watch them die horribly to aliens. So that's a lot of where the appeal comes from. This game, Chimera Squad, you don't have that. You just have 11 preset characters that the game designers have made, and they each have their own abilities and personalities, and they have their own roles on the squad. So some are, like the tanks.
One's a bard, one's a cleric, one's a...
Yeah, so there's for example, there's one that every turn he can put up a shield on somebody on the squad that just protects them from the next hit of damage. And then when that shield breaks, it builds up his charge, so then he can do a powerful melee attack. There's another who's just sort of, the shotgun woman. She just is pretty typical for what you'd find in the XCOM games. But then there's this one guy who's an alien, and he has mind powers, so he can sort of cause enemies to start attacking each other. He can gain bonuses if he uses his mind powers on a bunch of enemies. Because, segueing into this, the way that the story is set up is that, the good guys won, and they beat the bad guy aliens, but there were a bunch of aliens still left on Earth, and they just decided to integrate into society. So you have these humans and these aliens and these human-alien hybrids all trying to get along. Of course, there are tensions, there are bad guys, so your squad has to stop them. But a lot of the guys on your squad are aliens and hybrids themselves, which is how you get access to like the mind control abilities that are typically just reserved for enemies. So that leads to some fun combat encounters that you wouldn't normally get. Another difference is just sort of the speed at which missions play out, because in traditional XCOM you have basically this long strip of tiles. You're on one end and the objective's on the other, and you just gotta sort of fight your way through. That can take like 30 minutes sometimes, or even longer. But in Chimera Squad, they have divided each mission into like 1 to 3 little rooms, basically. And at the start of every encounter, you have this breach phase. Where you basically just get some free damage on the enemy, and then you just go from there. So the result is that the tactics element feels a lot quicker, and that's really how I would describe this game. Is it feels a lot more like a snack than a full meal. You're because like my XCOM campaigns are like 30 to 60 hours long, but this is comfortably 20 to 25. It's a budget price, and it's a shorter game as well.
Would you say that you still feel like you're still sitting there thinking about like, okay, what am I gonna do? Am I gonna put this person here? Oh my god, they might die.
That is the other big difference with this game that I felt, which is in the other XCOM games, I'm sure this is familiar to many tactics game players, you have the turn divided into you move all your guys, and then all the enemies move their guys. And so, in the old games, you would have, okay, I am using all my actions and all my moves, they're all on the table, and I'm going to make a plan for how to eliminate these threats and to minimize my damages. In Chimera Squad, that's not the system they went with. They went with like a D&D initiative order, where the order you place your soldiers in the breach phase determines like in what order they go, and then the enemy turns are just scrambled in there randomly. So what happens is you have, especially late game when there are a lot of enemies, you have, okay, so my one guy, he can get off 2 shots, but my next soldier won't be going. There are like 3 enemies that have to take their turn in between. So I don't necessarily know what the board is going to look like when my next soldier gets their turn, because enemies move and they do all sorts of crazy stuff. So that sort of had a direct like I felt like I was making less tactical decisions. I felt like I was planning ahead less, and I was thinking on my feet a lot more.
Do you like that or do you not like that?
I would say it. I'm glad they experimented with it, because there's not that much different from XCOM 2 in this game. So seeing that approach was like interesting, and it did get me to think about it in a different way. At the same time, I just really like planning and having more control over where my guys go and even what order I can have them move in. Whereas a lot of that felt up to chance here. And XCOM is already a game that puts a lot in chances and dice rolls.
Yeah.
So those are sort of the three main things that they changed about this game compared to XCOM 2. I would say that my favorite one is the sort of the shorter encounter length. And I think they should carry that forward into an XCOM 3 if and when they make that. But yeah, it's only $20, so you're not really risking much.
How many hours did you say you put into it?
So, I think a normal playthrough would be 20 hours, but I had several crashes because technically my computer is not good enough to handle this game, and they warned me about it when I booted it up, and I was like, I don't care, man.
Listen,
I'm going for it.
It's gonna break something.
He's like, hey,
are you sure you still want to?
It's like, hey, you can refund this if you want. Are you sure? You sure you want to do this? It's like, I got XCOM 2 working on.
Meme. It's that, are you sure about that?
Yeah.
Even with all your settings turned down?
Well, the funny thing is it actually ran better than XCOM 2 did. I think that's another thing. Like, XCOM 2 ran terribly, had terrible loading times. Then when I played the expansion to XCOM 2, like, it was significantly improved. So it's like, okay, why didn't you just put these improvements into the base game? And Chimera Squad was just sort of an increment of that. I mean, it did not look pretty by any means. Clearly not built for these specifications. And it did crash out like 5 times. But that's my own fault rather than the game's. So that probably boosted my hour count by like 2 hours.
I don't know how you put up with that. That would make me so mad.
I could not really do anything. It was like, no matter what window I went to, it just kept having like the freeze screen. So I had to like open a new desktop, put the task manager on the new desktop, and then end the task that way. And that happened several times. But,
that's what I'm saying. That just sounds like a chore.
Yeah, I like the game, so that's probably why I stuck with it. But if you have a computer that can handle it, then I recommend it because it's breezy. You're not having these life and death decisions like you are in the normal XCOM games because your soldiers don't have permadeath. They just sort of like, they have a debuff if they lose all their health, but you can get rid of that. Okay, so I talked a lot there. So why didn't someone else go with another game that they're excited about?
Corey should talk about Bloodborne again.
Oh.
I'll talk about Bloodborne again. I'm replaying Bloodborne for like the 18th time.
This is the game I played for a minute and I was like, I'm not having fun. What a
Dude,
great
I'm the same way with all of those types of games. Dark
I've never
Souls,
played one.
Bloodborne, all of them. Don't get the appeal at all.
They make me want to cry and I love it.
Why?
It's because you beat the boss and then you feel good because you're like, yeah, I overcame that.
Yeah, I spent like 18 hours being killed by a weird blood flesh dog, and then I finally beat it. I'm like, wow, I'm the best thing that's ever happened to this planet.
So,
and then I go fight the next guy who's just like some dude wearing a robe, and he spends the next 18 years slaughtering me.
So even on your 18th playthrough, you still don't know how to beat the bathrobe guy first try?
It's not a bathrobe, it's a cult robe. Duh.
So, like,
You're avoiding the question.
Listen, I said I'm the best person in the world after I beat them. Up until then, I'm bad at this.
Like, I don't... Like, even so, I don't like a game where, like... I feel like you can only be... Because it's so, like... Oh, you have to roll, you have to do all these, like, 7 different things in order to get one hit in. It's just not worth the investment to kill one boss for me. Like it's too much hassle. I want.
So my arc on this game was getting stuck on the bridge guy, which is the first boss. And like,
That boss is optional too.
the bridge guy is optional?
Yeah.
Well, wouldn't he be the easiest boss?
No, maybe you're just bad at this game.
Well, that's what I was saying. I was like, I could
Now you're
feel
insulting Jeremy. Wow.
like, okay, so I would have to put in a considerable amount of time and effort just to beat this bridge guy. And then I would have to do that 100 more times. And I was like, maybe not.
That's valid.
So do you think maybe if you just didn't have to beat the bridge guy, you'd like it?
What? No. I mean, first of all, I didn't have to beat the bridge guy, apparently.
No, yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm like, play the rest of the game, Jeremy.
No, because
Yeah, Jeremy, play the rest of the game.
No, I'm
there's
with
nothing
Jeremy.
that's
Don't do it.
going to be more fun than the bridge guy if I can't beat the bridge guy.
Yeah, like if he doesn't find enjoyment doing the easy quote unquote boss, when the boss gets like 10 times harder, imagine the frustration.
I don't blame
But
anyone
imagine
for-
once you do make it to those hard bosses and you know what you're doing. The hardest boss in the game, Orphan of Cause, my first time through, I beat on my second attempt.
Wow.
I sobbed. Actually, legit, literally.
But the bathrobe guy still gives you trouble.
Okay, the bathrobe guy is metaphorical. There's no bathrobe guy.
Well, you
Right,
didn't
like,
buy the
and that's-
DLC then.
Yes, I did. Orphan
Out
of
of
Cause is
context.
DLC.
Out of context, I'm imagining like this random like skull dude in like a white bathrobe with a sword.
That was Dark Souls 1.
He's sitting on a wall like it's a sauna. Like
You dare defy my secret domain?
He has
I mean,
that
that's
accent
basically
too.
how you encounter the bridge guy.
Bruh. At what point did the game get its hooks in you to invite you to keep going through this process? Because I don't think it is for everyone. These games are super popular, but I don't have the mental process for that. Was that an immediate thing?
It was pretty immediate for me. It looks nice, even though it took me like a couple hours to get to the first boss, it was still fun. It's sort of like tactics, but in a different way.
Explain. You can't just say that.
So you know how in like your tactical game, it's turn by turn, you have to look forward like, okay, here's what this guy needs to do to beat this guy so that he doesn't die, right?
Yeah.
But I have to start at my lamp, go down through, and I have to be like, all right, I need to kill the gun guy, because if the gun guy gets too many hits on me, I won't have enough healing stuff to beat the walking gun guy with the axe and the two dogs. But then I also need to make sure that in the end I have enough healing stuff and whatever, bullets, whatever, to beat the big dog on the bridge.
Sure. That just sounds like a pain.
Maybe to you,
Yeah, to me. That's fine.
but I'm a masochist.
Oh, I see. It's all coming together. Would you say the process is a lot like rehearsing for something?
It might be.
Neat.
This is where the love comes from.
Okay. Now that we've tackled that, there's been some gaming news, has there not?
wait, Jeremy, before we go into news, and can I bring up something? It's a comic thing, so you'll.
Oh well, I was
go
just
with it.
wanted to stick with games before we get to comics because I have.
Oh,
Comics.
okay, then that's fine. That's fine. If we can.
Gaming news is beginning to happen. Everyone,
Heck yeah.
the
Yeah.
the biggest game that has the word Valhalla in the title. Assassin's Creed Valhalla.
Valhalla.
Someone put it on the sheet.
Let me look up what other Valhalla named games there are. Hold on.
There are a lot, mostly RPGs or mobile games.
A lot of
the
mobile
time
games.
there are like maps in other games.
That's just Halo, I think.
No, there's more than that, I'm sure.
So this trailer came out. I wasn't planning on talking about it, but someone put it on this list. So I assume there's impressions.
Looks dope.
Looks dope, dude.
I don't play
Looks
Assassin's
sick
Creed,
as
but that
heck,
looks-
bro.
It's just a cinematic trailer, so I don't really care. I like gameplay trailers.
That's yeah.
Aren't
Yeah.
they're
I think
showing
we'll
off
see.
gameplay soon, though, right?
I think tomorrow.
Yeah.
Are they?
So tomorrow
Yeah.
at the time of this recording, so it will already have happened. We'll be living in a post.
Yeah.
We can talk about it next week.
Yeah, but
Look in the
they're
comments.
showing off the Series X gameplay tomorrow.
Look in the comments of this video to see what our thoughts are.
Yeah, Kyle's gonna be like, looks dumb, LOL.
I'll give my shit.
So my favorite part about this trailer is how they're just abandoning all the pretense of this being a stealth franchise.
Yep,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
it's a hack and slash game now.
I know.
So I don't play many Ubisoft games, and I don't really care for Assassin's Creed that much. But if anyone here got into this series, would you say that you missed the sort of assassination element of it? It's just sort of become closer to other open world games.
No longer Assassin's Creed. It's just Creed.
Yes and no.
I've only played up to 3, so I didn't get into some of the more modern ones.
It's less stealthy, but the combat is more interesting.
That's fair, because before it was just sort of like a 2-button game, right?
Yeah.
Batman style.
To jump on them and kill them in one hit, or if you actually had to fight them. In the first 8 games, there was just one parry button where if you held that down, they couldn't.
Yeah.
Nice.
That's
But now
basically
you actually have to do things.
yeah, because the combat initially starting out, it was really, really shallow. It's just be like, I'm just gonna parry every single time. I beat I remember for 2, I beat the first enemy way quicker, and then he's still sitting there with 1 HP because he has to give his whole long evil monologue. So it was really easy.
And it's annoying when the enemies figure out about their parry button, because then you can't hit that.
Or sometimes you could also get a broom and beat people up, but that was good.
So now that they have brought the combat so far forward, obviously most of this trailer is just a battle scene indicating the various ways in which you can kill people. There's some axe throws, there's some spear action, I think. So is that more appealing because the old combat is not so good?
I don't think people play Assassin's Creed for the combat. I think they choose it to be oh, I'm gonna be all stealthy and I'm gonna kill this person and no one's gonna find me. And then sometimes you'd run away because you're bad at the game, because that's me. But that would be it.
Yeah. You still can do all the stealthy stuff. It's just that they're showing off all of the big, cool cinematic fighty stuff.
Okay.
It's cuts. That's
Yeah. Another big draw for each Assassin's Creed game is the time period it's taking place in. Now, Vikings are quite popular
Heck yeah.
nowadays.
love me some.
Yeah.
Okay, so I was going to ask, what does this setting do for you compared to, well, recently we had Egypt and then ancient Greece. So we're another new direction.
It's definitely the one that takes it farther from that whole stealthy idea, because the Vikings, at least from what we see in media, tend to just be throw things, flay.
Yeah, Vikings in video just big meat hook
Oh, and
Well-
they have shields
with cool shit.
Yeah.
and helmets.
All these things are true. But other than the big battle scenes, what do you think of when you think about Vikings, and how would that translate into a game?
I do think though, they are intelligent Viking. They were smart enough to name different places so that oh, it's named Iceland, I would want to go there. Typically Vikings are just chilling. They have some intelligence there, so I think there's some potential for strategy.
Yeah,
If
that does
there's-
sound interesting.
But I'm not a big. I think it gives me God of War vibes almost. I don't know.
I can kind of see that.
Yeah, I was
But-
trying to avoid making that comparison, but yeah, it is sort of
Yeah.
the same setting as the new God of
Yeah.
And it's also looking to do more mythical stuff. Like, there was that guy, the Raven there. So it was like, oh, Odin is watching the battle.
Yeah.
So maybe, I feel like in all the DLC stuff is like when they really just have magic and all that. But maybe now they're like incorporating that more, where it's just, yeah, this is not historically accurate. We're just going to have the actual gods. It's cool.
Well, because that was previously what they had like prided themselves on, was that it's like they were historically accurate, but obviously they would replace names. But that then
they created their own mythos around what.
Yeah, and now I don't know if they just don't care about that now. I mean, I don't know a whole lot about the history for some of the stuff they're doing.
Yeah, I feel like they went with broad strokes on a lot of that stuff, and then at a certain point, I think once they changed the formula, it sort of became more about the environments than the historical figures. Because, like, I remember hearing that in the last one, which was Ancient Greece, like, Pythagoras is in it, but he would have been dead, like, 100 years ago. So it's like, hey, I found this magic elixir to extend my life. It's cool, homie.
Yeah. I think the most historically accurate one is what? The one that's set here in the US, right?
Oh, yeah.
Which one?
The one...
3. It's 3.
Is that 3?
Yeah.
And people hate that one, right?
I like that one.
I like that one, especially the assassin turkey.
A lot of it depends on how into the setting you are. So, you know, a lot of people have fondness for that revolutionary period.
They've done French Revolution already, right?
French Revolution was the really bad one.
Oh, yeah, it was, wasn't it?
Which is a shame, because I was like, that'd be a cool setup for a game.
So cool, though.
But they really screwed it up.
So much.
The game.
I know something else that they a lot of fans really wanted was they wanted one in China, and then they put it on, like, was it mobile? I don't know. It was some kind of 2D one, and everyone's like, this is not what I asked for, Ubisoft.
Yeah, they did that with Russia, too.
Why would they do that? No one wants to play that.
Because it was such a cash cow franchise.
Just no one cared. Go ahead.
Side note, we all agree the movie's bad, right? We all agree.
I've never watched it.
I haven't seen it.
Okay.
I can make an educated guess that it's not good, yeah.
It is bad, and like everything looks dirty, but not like a DC movie looks gritty and dirty. Like they didn't
just
clean
dirty.
Not like they didn't clean the camera. Like that's what it looks like.
Isn't the movie canon?
Is it?
Maybe. I don't know.
Is it? I've not heard that.
Maybe.
I thought they were trying to create like its own canon within like.
I don't know. Yeah. So the last question I want to ask is: does anyone care 1% about the future plotline of these games?
I am one of the only ones that cared. Because they were like hyping up. They're all like, oh, Desmond, you're going to grow up and you're going to be a real big assassin. He's like, oh my God. And then he started learning how to climb and stuff. And then he like had the eagle vision thingy. And then I wanted to just do that, but in real life and like kind of like see how the world would be. And whatever their modern interpretation of the world is. And I wanted to see that, and I never got it. That's how upset I am.
Okay.
I think the story's fine. The real problem is like when you're outside the assassin playing as like the real day present person, it's boring.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, when you walked around it was boring.
Yeah, it was okay in the first couple when you were always like Desmond, but then once they cut off that overarching story, it was just like, wow, Oh,
it was so boring.
I like it. I do like it when franchise, having never actually played an Assassin's Creed game, and just like seeing bits and pieces of the story. Man, I like it when series like set like their own different timelines, and then like almost try to retcon them into one giant, like 8 games later. Oh yeah, this is actually one continuous story.
The Fast and the Furious method.
Yeah, that.
That's a good comparison. Okay, speaking of something that's not boring, is in fact very action-packed, Mortal Kombat 11.
Heck yeah, dude. I saw this today.
Yeah, I saw this too, and I was like, this is the moment I've been waiting for, because let me tell you something. As someone who appreciates fighting games, but is terrible at them, never buy a fighting game at launch. Because you will get gouged on all the DLC.
Tell me the news, because I do not know the news.
The news is, okay, so Mortal Kombat 11 came out last year, sold very well, and of course, as with every modern fighting game, they had like 6 DLC characters, so they had, there were like, what, like...
There was like the Joker, I know that.
Yeah, there were like, half of them were series veterans that were not in the game, and then the other half was like, they had Spawn, they had the Joker, and the Terminator. So, I mean, buying DLC characters a la carte just always seems like such a bad money proposition, except for Smash, where most of them are bad.
Whoa, hey now.
For me. But now they've just announced there's an expansion. It's called the Aftermath expansion. So the first thing they are adding is, it's a continuation of the story mode. So the story mode was very well regarded. One of the best fighting game story modes by consensus. So they're just showing, it's like a second chapter of that. They go back in time again. They're also adding some more. Well, they have 3 new characters here. 2 of them I'm not really familiar with.
2 of them are series veterans or are in the story mode or something like that.
Yeah, and then the third one is Alex Murphy.
AKA
Robert Kopp.
Okay, I still don't know who either one of those people are.
RoboCop.
Oh, I've literally never watched that.
I've heard of that one.
They really nailed his lips. That's the most prominent feature on RoboCop.
Honestly, you're right as I look at the roster.
They're also adding in the friendship instead of the fatality, and stage fatalities. So it seems like an exciting expansion, but what I was saying with like the economics of this, if you were to buy the Mortal Kombat Aftermath Collection, which is the original Mortal Kombat 11 game, the original DLC fighters, and this new content, that's $60. So that's a price of a new game. Pretty fair, especially if you're just jumping in. If you already own the Mortal Kombat 11 game and you just want the expansion content, that's $40. And if you just want if you already have the game, not the DLC, you want the expansion and the DLC, that's $50. It's like, wow, why are the people who already own the game having to pay the most for this? This doesn't make sense to me.
I don't play fighting games.
Thanks, Nicole.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I, like you, Jeremy, I appreciate them. I do not play them.
Yeah. So, because, like, I have not personally played Mortal Kombat 11, but it's always something I was like, wow, a fighting game with no anime in it. It's perfect. But it's imposing. And, like, you just know, because they did, like, the Mortal Kombat XL for the last game. So it's like, I just wait until all the stuff's in it and then buy it at a discount.
Well, I think there are some people who they really want to get back into it. People who are part of the fighting game community. They're like, oh, I have to get like the newest Mortal Kombat, and I have to get it right now. So maybe some people who are a little more competitive into it, like they don't have any other choice. Like they have to get it right away, and then they have to buy the DLC and whatnot.
Yeah, if you're a competitive player, and that probably means you're not playing many games besides your fighting games. So I mean, that's budgetary. That makes a little more sense. But it's just wild to me, the pricing on this. I don't know how much of this was just the publisher deciding it, but I'm not complaining. I just think it's funny. So yeah, what fighting games have you explored? Besides Smash, because everyone plays Smash.
I have played a little bit of Tekken, and was not. By casual standards, was not bad, but that's about it. Although I have my 2 best friends both play fighting games, like not competitively, but like are more. They're like that in between like casual and actually playing competitively.
I find that's the worst place to be.
No, well, like it's much closer to I think competitive than I'm giving it credit.
Okay.
Because like they'll play like they know frame data and all that stuff, but
yeah, my brain just doesn't have the capacity for stuff. It's like
same.
I mean, like Corey was comparing Bloodborne to a tactics game. This is a tactics game if it moved at the speed of light. Like you have to make all these decisions and have this wealth of knowledge of every move against every character.
Yeah.
It just seems, I mean, and that's the price I pay for jumping in late on some of this stuff, is that if you're just getting these characters one at a time, that's a lot easier to get adjusted to than having the entire roster dumped on you.
That's how I am for that's how I was. Like I just knew I played one character and knew, oh, this character, like I'm gonna have a tougher time because this character's better against my character. I never tried to veer off a different path, and I think that's what made me a little bit better. I don't know. Fighting games are fun to watch, not to play.
I think if I can rope someone else into playing fighting games like locally, because online, well, I don't have an online subscription anyway. That just seems like the fastest way to make yourself mad.
Yeah.
You could just play Soul Calibur and like play against people's, like you could fight Mario or fight Pengu. It's up to you.
Nicole, have you played much Soul Calibur?
Not the new one, but I have Soul Calibur 2 for the GameCube. I'm bad at them. But I already said, yeah, I'm not really good at fighting games. I've played a little bit of Mortal Kombat. What's the one on the 360? I don't know what it's called. I think it's literally just Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, that's one of them.
Yeah. Again, not good at that. But you know what I am good at? I'm good at the Naruto games on the GameCube.
I'm not even.
I told you I really like Naruto.
Those are like barely fighting games. It's like
okay, but like you said, I was good though.
Sure.
I was really good.
Okay. Sure.
That's it.
It's. I'm not even going to. It's fine.
I like Soul Calibur. I'm just really bad at it.
Yeah, definitely something. This Mortal Kombat stuff, I'm curious about it. If I can get my brother to jump in with me, then it'll be worth it. And now it's time to talk about some quarantine comics.
Yay!
So, as with everything, the comics industry is not firing at full capacity right now. Marvel is not putting out any new books, just some compilation stuff. DC is putting out some new books, but they're not really continuing the storylines from before the quarantine, just sort of their own little independent things with Batman and Superman and all that, and those are pretty fun. So those are like digital first comics, very exciting. But what have you all been reading?
I haven't read any more of the Wonder Woman comic.
We're all disappointed.
I read, so I don't read.
I don't read.
I don't
You're not capable of reading?
I
Full
can't
disclosure,
read.
guys.
So, well, no, like it's a running gag amongst like my friends. I just don't like, because I mess up and I speak poorly sometimes. I just can't read and I don't read.
Well, that explains your reads during the show. I'm kidding.
So,
Spicy.
no, fair criticism. Should have won best host, but I didn't. Anyway, so I read my first comic book, because comic books was never my thing, but I've been getting into a comic book YouTuber. He mostly reads bad comics, which is why I read for the very first time. Jeremy will probably react to this more than anyone. One More Day.
Wow.
This is a very infamous story.
Spider-Man One More Day.
Wait.
So, go ahead, Corey.
That's all.
Yeah, so Spider-Man One More Day is awful. Everything I knew about Spider-Man didn't really matter in this comic, because I read it last week, I think, after the show, because like I said earlier, I've been getting into a comic book YouTube, because
Comic book YouTube is fun.
dude, it is. Specifically, Linkara is the one I follow, just because it's like a Mystery Science Theater type, like, kind of vibe to it.
Yeah, that Kara's been around for years and years.
Oh, he just had his 600th episode. He's been doing it for over 10 years now, and it's just really impressed. But one of his infamous ones is One More Day. Why is it like this? And it is awful. Basically, the main thing that happens in it is, in order to save Aunt May's life, Mephisto, basically...
Aunt May, who's already like 99 years old.
Yes. Who is basically, for those who don't know, the comic book devil. At least Marvel's version of the devil. Gives Spider-Man, Peter Parker's, this deal. He'll save Aunt May. But it's at the price...
I'm sorry, you mispronounced Aunt.
Aunt May.
Aunt.
Okay.
Continue.
At the price of he will save her, but he will. I don't know. Remember exactly how it's worded.
At the price of Spider-Man's marriage, right?
Yeah, it's Spider-Man's marriage, basically. And originally, Mary Jane is like, no, he won't do that. So then she tells him that Spider-Man the deal, and he thinks about it, and then he does it. Which the antithesis of what Spider-Man is.
It
it just irks me.
make a lot of sense.
Oh, it just doesn't make any sense because, like, originally I don't know if it's in the comic because it blurred together with the review I watched. Does he remember that their marriage is gone, or is it just she does?
I don't really remember. I mean, I've just seen like summaries of this, but I feel like all memory was erased forever.
Yeah. And like I don't like what does Mephisto get out of this if they don't remember it?
Yeah,
Why did he
just
save
seems like a weird
Aunt
thing.
May? It's basically like, oh, this will torment them. How will this torment them if they don't know they're being tormented?
This is the worst part of comics to me.
Oh,
it's
so
when
bad.
it's when you can clearly tell when some executive wanted this one thing to happen and they didn't care how they got there. It was just a mandate.
Yeah, and
the
I've read
creators just had to do the best with what they had.
I've read basically the reason they did it is because they wanted to get rid of the Peter Parker being married because, one, it made the character look older because Spider-Man's supposed to relate to younger kids. How is he going to do that if he's a married man? And two, they didn't think they could get any good stories out of him being married, which is not true.
Yeah.
And just, it's a bad comic. The art also, I don't read a lot of comics, so I don't know. But the art just looks weird.
Kyle, if you have a bad taste in your mouth from that, you should try Renew Your Vows. Have you heard of this?
I have not.
So, before... this was during the Secret Wars in 2015, when basically the multiverse got cut up and just got pieced together in all a bunch of weird ways. And so one of the stories they told was this is a universe where Spider-Man and Mary Jane are still together, and they have a daughter, and they basically have to, superheroes are hunted down and stuff, so they have to have their daughter, like, suppress their powers, ultimately realizing, like, no, Spider-Man, he's about using his powers for good. And it's a pretty brief miniseries, but it was, like, sort of the apology. It's like, hey, here you can have them be married again for a little bit.
Let them be happy.
Yeah, right now they are, they're dating, but they're not married. Peter Parker was going to propose, but then Mary Jane got on a plane somewhere.
Oof.
If you get on a plane, you just can't propose. Come on. That's how it works.
Yeah, so we all know Spider-Man, my favorite superhero. I read a few issues of the very first Spider-Man stories in The Amazing Spider-Man from 1963. We don't have to talk too much about these, but just some things I noticed with how Spider-Man is similar and different then and now, which is like the storylines are really sort of, they work in the modern context. I mean, obviously technology is different and all that. The dialogue is cheesy, as to be expected, but the emotional crux. The emotional crux is like it still remains intact. Like, you know, Peter Parker is a sympathetic character. He loses his uncle, obviously, and he's just always having this battle over whether he should, you know, use his powers for himself or for the greater good. You know, all that stuff was there from the very beginning, and it's still just the core element of Spider-Man's character. But Spider-Man himself, like when he's in costume, he's a lot more arrogant and self-assured than he is now, which is like sort of a fun thing, because it's like, oh, this is a teenager and he's got all this power and he was bullied and now he's like unexpectedly in this new position, so it's like this is how he might react. But it's just funny because like he sort of antagonizes people for no reason. He picks a fight with the Human Torch just because he's jealous, and it's a very stupid side of Spider-Man you don't see very often. And there's also the letter section at the back, which is basically just Stan Lee being rude to readers, and vice versa.
Really? What does he say?
Well, it's like the reader will like write this paragraph just talking about every single thing that they loved about the book, and then it'll have like one piece of criticism at the end, and then Stan will just latch onto that piece of criticism and be like, what do you know?
It's the perfect book, except in this one panel, he's off color. Well, all you do.
It also makes the narration a lot better if you read it in Stan Lee's voice. It just works.
I kind of want to read everything.
Just everything, not even just comics.
Just everything.
Everything.
Yeah, everything.
Yeah. Just narrate my life as Stan Lee.
And then my second favorite superhero, other than Spider-Man, I'm very basic. It's Batman. And there have been those Batman books that are continuing the animated series. The first
I thought
one.
you were gonna say the anime.
No, not
Jeremy likes anime, everybody.
Jeremy likes anime.
Jeremy, just power through.
the animated series, widely considered the best Batman content ever, absolute classic, and led to the entire DC animated universe, including like Superman, Justice League, all that. So this comic is by the original writers, and they are continuing. I was a little confused in the timeline, but this is right after the show leaves off. So we're not in the Justice League yet, but after season 4 of the show. And the first 2 issues I was not super impressed with. It's just Lex Luthor being evil, and he like ties up Superman and puts him in a big robot as a battery, which is a little weird. But now you have basically Deathstroke being introduced, who was not in the universe before, and he's like resenting himself as like, hey, we should work together, Batman, Batgirl, Robin, we'd be a great team. It's like, no, obviously this guy's evil. What are you doing? And then
who is it who's saying he's evil?
Huh?
You said someone recognizes that he's evil. Who is it?
Oh, well, the reader does, certainly. But also Bruce is like acting suspicious. The whole Bat family is suspicious, so they're not idiots.
I mean, he's missing an eye for a reason.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also you have the character which was not in the universe before, Jason Todd, who is skulking in the shadows right now.
I like that one.
That's the second one, correct?
Yeah, so in the show they had Dick Grayson, obviously, as the first Robin, who had.
But Dick Grayson is the best one.
I agree. He had the 2-parter Robin's Reckoning, which was an awesome set of episodes. That might have only been 1 episode, but it was still great. And then when they transitioned into season 4, where they sort of changed the status quo, they made him Nightwing, and they gave him a ponytail, which doesn't work. And they replaced him with Tim Drake, who is the 3rd Robin in the comics. So they just went from 1 to 3, but now they're sort of retconning it, saying like, oh, Jason Todd was in between them. He's coming back. He's got dirt. So we're gonna see where that goes.
I like DC better than Marvel, so.
I think I do.
Can we get into this debate? Because like I kind of want
DC better than Marvel?
What? I'm not like a fanboy or anything. I just find it interesting, like, what qualities do you think DC does better? Is it just the heroes or the storytelling, or?
No, it's just because I like the heroes and I just don't want to pick up a Marvel comic. That's literally it.
I don't really have I haven't read the comics, so I only know like bits and pieces about the characters as a whole. But I think it's also because I've seen so much about Marvels that I think I know already enough that I want to learn more about DC, which makes me want to like them more, if that makes sense.
That makes sense.
Well, something that a lot of people say is that the DC animations, be it a show or one of the animated movies, people say that they like those a lot more than the Marvel ones.
When I read like what the animated movie adaptations do to the source material, it makes me upset.
It made me upset for the TMNT and Batman one.
When the Hush adaptation was like, what are you doing? That was perfect. But yeah, if you want to get into comics, I have some ones that I really like. Obviously, look at your comic book YouTubers, see what stories they recommend.
I want their, because I read manga too. Because like how I read manga is there's an app that has like all the scans already there, and I could just search and it's like, oh yeah, I want to read this today. I wish there was a comic book version of that.
Oh, if you don't mind going to Russian websites, there certainly is.
I want an app though. I want it as an app.
Oh, an app? Oh, I can't imagine reading comics on an app.
I read manga on an app. They're basically the same thing.
I kind of enjoy having the physical though too.
Yeah.
I can't afford the physical.
Yeah, me neither. But
Yeah.
but
yeah, so runs I definitely recommend. Batman, basically any Batman is good. Kingdom Come's really good. Let's see, I just have a list here. Marvels, which is by Alex Ross, fantastic.
Which is different than Marvel, which I heard is terrible.
I haven't heard of that. Immortal Hulk I've talked about. Ms. Marvel is terrific.
World War Hulk I heard is good.
Oh yeah, I need to read that. Oh, but especially Matt Fraction's Hawkeye is fantastic. It's not really a typical superhero comic. It's just sort of making fun of Hawkeye as this stupid idiot. But it's got a lot of heart. It's really good. Oh, and anything by Jonathan Hickman is excellent. So those are some good starting points to investigate. Comics, they're really cool. And I wish that they were more friendly to new readers, because there's just a lot of continuity you have to sort of work through.
I mean, if you really worry about it that much, if you're like, oh man, I'm missing out on like some of this lore, I mean, it's not going to kill you to read it on Wikipedia.
Exactly.
It's all there.
I just wish
I think
they didn't make you go through all that.
Yeah.
I think I might get into like not an obscure one. Like everyone's like, oh, my favorite hero is Batman or Spiderman or Superman. I want to go off the wall. I want to be like, yeah, my favorite's Green Lantern.
There are like 7 Green Lanterns.
Gonna say obscure. Yeah, I was gonna say there's so many, dude.
I know there's one that's named Kyle, so I'll start with him.
Okay, I think he's the jerk-ass one.
No, that's Hal. Hal, no one likes.
Now, Hal's the main one.
I like John.
John
Stewart's
cool.
the one that everyone likes.
Yeah.
Kyle was in between Hal and John.
Whenever I see Kyle show up, everyone is just like, oh no, it's Kyle. And he's like, you love me.
Just like with us.
Yeah, just like with us. So any final thoughts on comics or anything else?
I like them. They're just expensive. Oh,
You're right.
I was told that actually it's better to buy something like a volume rather than a bunch of single issues.
Absolutely.
Yeah, buy the trade.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So that's what I do.
It's the same principle as the Mortal Kombat. Wait for it all to be out, save money.
Although you don't get to see the cool covers.
They
have variant
The
covers.
volumes will have the covers in the volume.
just bunched up at the end.
Not the same.
Now it is time for our closing segment, which is hotly anticipated, and we definitely knew this was going to happen beforehand. It is time for Corey to reveal the winners of the All Systems Go Superlatives.
Yes.
I haven't closed the voting yet. Only like 6 people have voted.
Oh my god.
Well, they missed their deadline.
Do you want me to close it right now? I'll close it right now.
Do it.
All right.
Screw 'em.
If you show up
I
late to
believe
election
there's
day-
one that has a tie.
Okay.
Ooh.
Well, be the panel that decides the tie-breaking vote.
All right, it's loading
But there are
up.
4 of us, so what if we also break even?
Then we flip a coin.
Okay.
Uh-oh.
All right,
I will
first
pull up-
one up for the superlative of Best Associate Producer, winning by like 4 of the votes, is me.
Because you're the only one.
Landslide
Stop.
victory.
Well, somebody voted for Teddy, which is valid.
Jeremy.
Why do
Jeremy.
you immediately
You're
think
correct.
it was me?
Because you told me. That's
And
what-
then Kyle voted
yeah.
for yes.
Kyle voted for yes. The
That's all he
band?
wrote. No, just the word yes.
Okay.
Well, because I knew it was only you, Corey. So I didn't
Yeah, since I'm the only option, that
Yeah.
automatically means it's another vote for me.
Great.
Yes.
So you really ran away with this one.
I did. All right, most flirtatious. It's a tie between Dan and Anthony.
I said
Wow.
I don't even remember what I wrote.
I think I wrote Anthony, I think.
Dan. Okay, well,
One of the votes did say Danelle, who I've never heard.
Okay. Well, Danelle is not a canon character, so we can't accept that vote.
I know. That's why it's a tie.
so who are we voting for? I mean, my vote still stands.
Dan
Let's say
or
Dan.
Anthony.
Who did I vote for? I want to.
Well, do your vote right now.
I don't remember.
Okay. My vote is in.
What?
What?
In my head. Oh, I want me to say it? Oh, no.
Yeah.
We can't read
I
your
thought we were
mind.
all going to say it at once type of thing. I thought it was.
Just, I'm cool with whoever. I think
Dan.
they both deserve it. Okay.
Okay, so it's Dan.
We're giving it I mean,
It's Dan.
I voted for Anthony just because Dan already won a lot of awards.
Ooh, that's fair. Wait.
Oh yeah, he
Do you
did win.
necessarily want to get the biggest flirt, though?
That's a good point. I mean, if you are a biggest flirt, you probably want to be the biggest
I
flirt.
changed my answer to Jess.
That doesn't even make sense.
That does not make any sense.
We're gonna say it's Anthony.
Okay, yeah. Good on you, Anthony.
You go, Anthony.
I wish you
Insert
could be on the
cheering sound.
podcast.
All right. Up next is Best Dressed. This one does go to Dan.
I actually don't remember who I voted for.
I know who I voted for this.
Oh,
It
I
was
voted for
really
Jeremy.
varied. Dan was the only person who got more than one vote.
Okay. Sometimes pluralities win.
And that's
Happens.
he had 2 votes.
It happens.
Okay.
Up next, most likely to swear on air. It turned out to be Kyle with 5
That's-
votes,
What?
which is funny because Kyle didn't swear on this episode. Jeremy did.
I'm pretty sure Dan
No, he
also
swore.
swore on air.
Probably, but you're more likely.
I think if we
What?
could finish out the whole season, it would have happened.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure Dan would have done it. Yeah, I don't think I deserve that one.
you're getting it anyway.
Take it. Where
I
you can
know.
Yay!
Although it is funny because the first time I ever swore, the first time I was ever on air, I swore.
How about you meant in general? I was like, what were you like?
Get it. That was his first
9?
word.
My first word was the F word. Yeah.
Nice. All right, good news. Best bromance. It's an entire mess. 2
Is this a
votes
love
went
triangle?
in. 2 votes went to Dan and Kyle. 2 votes went to Max and Anthony. 2 votes went to Jeremy and Anime.
Why did 2 people independently come to that conclusion?
I
Gee,
think Jeremy and
I wonder
Anime.
why.
Jeremy and Anime should win.
What? That's
I think
not a
Corey
romance.
voted twice.
I mean,
Yeah, it is.
if you're
I did
going
not
by,
vote twice.
if we're accepting this fiction, which is not true, that I love anime,
What was the second one?
wouldn't that be like
Max and
Sundir?
Anthony.
What is that? What?
Sundir? Wouldn't that be Sundir? Not a bromance.
Sundale?
That's not what that means, Jeremy.
Yeah, are you
You
trying to
like
say
anime, you
Sundale?
should know this.
Come on. Okay, so Jeremy and Anime, best romance. There we go.
No.
No, because that's just a real romance.
No, I also disagree.
Are you sure?
I think it'll probably be Anthony.
Yeah.
Give it to Anthony. He's the biggest
Anthony.
flirt.
Anthony and
Anthony
who?
and Max.
She specifically flirts with Max.
Everyone flirts with Max.
I don't flirt with Max.
I'm in a committed
Y'all are
relationship.
weak.
Okay, what's next?
Most likely to be the reason Jeremy puts up with the no anime zone sign.
If there's
Everybody
more than
except
one-
for Jeremy voted for Jess.
Who did Jeremy vote for?
Jeremy.
Think about it. No one
Think-
is forcing me to.
That's
put up
part of the
sign.
vote. He wrote Jeremy. Think about it.
That's
No one is forcing me to put up the sign. I do it out of a sense of duty to our listeners who need to be informed of this hazard. I could be neglectful and just allow it to walk by, but
Jeremy just wanted to win something, and this was his win con.
You right.
life isn't about winning.
It's still Jess.
Congratulations.
Most
to
talkative
President.
panelist. This one goes to Darian.
Oh,
Yeah.
I wonder if someone counted up the minutes.
Where's the stat?
Nobody knows.
Yeah,
Of
give
our
me the
loyal
data.
listeners. Someone make a Google presentation. Our loyal listener.
Frame by frame analysis.
It's like, oh yes, he spoke for 1 second, but then he got interrupted by Dan, and then he continued on for another 10 seconds.
I want a word count. Total number of words.
Okay, what's the next one?
Most likely to suggest another game show. This one's a tie. Wow.
Can I guess who they're between?
Do it.
Kayla
Yeah?
and you, Corey.
No. It's Kayla and Jeremy.
Did
That's
I vote
also
for myself
valid.
on that one? I don't remember.
I'm gonna vote for Kayla.
Did you just like put yourself in all of your votes, Jeremy?
He did not. He only did the one.
Okay.
Possibly the
As a
two. I don't
bit, I
remember.
almost did that.
All right. Yeah, so I agree. Game show sounds like a terrific idea.
Kayla suggested the game show the first time. Jeremy made the game show last week. It makes sense. I'm gonna say Jeremy.
I'm gonna say Jeremy.
I'm gonna say Kayla.
Jeez.
Jeremy wins.
All right.
1.
No, Jeremy, who are you voting for?
Jeremy.
I mean, I just suggested we do the game show, so I guess that makes sense. Yeah.
Most likely to make the editors cry.
I put.
Someone
what
wrote
did
yes. It was probably
of them.
Kyle again.
It was probably Kyle.
No, I don't think I did. What are some of the other answers?
One person wrote Matt.
Out of
Wait, why?
jealousy or what?
I have no idea. Matt's a good boy. One person wrote, and by one person I mean Jeremy, wrote Nicole because she
Wait,
bullies.
why?
Yeah. Read that one again.
Nicole, she bullies.
I thought about putting Maya's parents, but I didn't want to.
What's
be too...
wrong with that?
And then 3 people wrote Dan.
I wrote Dan.
Dan isn't in a lot
I
of.
don't
No,
even know
you
what
wrote
to put.
Dan because he peaked
Oh yeah, that makes sense.
Because he peaks the mic.
a lot.
I still think
Yeah.
my
I'm gonna-
answer makes
I'm gonna
sense.
vote-
I think there wasn't
I'm
enough
gonna
space
vote
for me to
Nicole.
write peaks.
I vote Nicole.
There
No,
wasn't
we
a
already-
tie.
it already
It wasn't a
decided.
tie, but
Dan.
thanks for the vote of
Yeah.
confidence.
Tie? Oh.
Next up, we have ASG's best cat.
I mean, there's
Somebody
only one.
wrote Ashley. Why?
I think.
Somebody
think
put.
that was-
Someone got
Two
confused.
people just wrote my name. Why? Unfortunately, it wasn't enough to stop the reign of Teddy, our blessed baby boy.
So I think I was meant to put Ashley's cat, but I didn't. It's like,
Here's the thing. It wasn't your vote that just says the name Ashley.
Why?
It's Jess's.
Wait, is there enough space for Ashley's cat? Like, is that
Oh, yeah.
enough? Oh,
More
okay,
than
I
enough.
don't know.
I guess I did in the moment remember his name was Teddy.
No, you didn't.
Oh, I did what I put.
Yours, I'm assuming, is either the one that says Corey with a question mark or the one that just says Ashes.
Oh, Ash. No, yeah, that's what I put. Yeah. Ash is cat.
Nevertheless, it's Teddy.
Congrats, Teddy. You really
You go, Teddy.
showed up.
You went there being the only cat we had on the show.
He's a cute boy.
Is that all of them?
No.
Ooh.
Next we have Best Dad.
Why?
I don't know what I put for this one.
Because Corey was the one who made it. That's why.
Okay, sure.
Because I made it and I call every single person Dad. One person wrote you LOL.
Nice.
I think
Sounds
that was
fake.
me.
It was, I know.
I think I put mine.
You did, I know. One person wrote Jess. I think that was Jess.
She wrote herself.
So who won?
Max.
Sure.
Max won.
Max could
He
take
had
you
half of the
fishing.
vote.
You would have fun going fishing with Max.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Max
No,
Fish?
that's accurate.
Best news story we covered this semester. Unfortunately for Jeremy, the only thing that got more than one vote was Jeremy Fartman likes anime.
I legitimately couldn't think of anything. I don't know what I put.
I didn't know what to do either, dude.
I do not pay attention during the news.
No one does.
So it's true that Jeremy does, in fact, love anime.
What? You can't
Yeah.
have fake news win.
And
You have to disqualify that for
shut
being
up.
fake
and
news.
anime loves him back.
Disqualify.
The anime
Fake
joke.
news.
The Jeremy likes anime joke
Misreporting.
Works in small doses. We have run that joke into the ground this night. Let's stop that joke.
Yeah. Just declare a mistrial. Nobody wins that category. I don't even know how you would award something to an
We
abstract
could
idea.
go down to the other ones, which one of them was Shrug and another one was I don't remember. So it's between Final Fantasy VII and Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
No, it
Final
sounds like I
Fantasy
don't
VII.
remember one.
I think I did the Final Fantasy VII one because I
Actually,
tried
I
to
think
look
Jeremy's
legit.
right. I think I don't remember one.
I have pictures of the rundown on my phone from when I dropped videos.
Season 7, we're just gonna cut news, apparently, because nobody remembers anything.
Nope.
Yeah.
I did the news and I still don't remember anything I said.
It's fine.
Okay, is that it, Corey?
Best video segment.
Oh, I'm really forgetting how many of these there were.
This is the last one.
All right.
I know which one.
We had one vote for Kyle's old movie review.
Who thought?
Unfortunately, that vote was alone and he did not put an apostrophe in Kyle's.
As in, there was like a plurality of me.
The movie
There are
is about
multiple
multiple
Kyles.
Kyles. Yeah.
I don't
So
know.
not only are you bad at grammar, but it's also nepotism because it was your own video.
No, it wasn't. I didn't vote for that.
You didn't?
No.
Dude, check.
Mine's FNAF.
Mine's FNAF as well.
I know mine and Jeremy were Sam the something. Must have been Kayla.
Oh.
Nevertheless, it's FNAF.
Multiple Kyles did reviews on old movies.
Those were boring.
FNAF 1.
Yay!
like it did-
That checks
Saturday
out.
night.
Yeah, the pandering to
best
the
bet
FNAF
in.
fans. Okay. Pandering.
That's the superlatives.
So butthurt, Jeremy.
If you won, you
We
go
won
friend.
multiple categories, Jeremy.
I did? I don't really remember. Anyway,
Yeah, you
that's going to do it for this installment of All Systems Go Home. Hope you enjoyed this reflective episode. Let us know what you think. Let us know what you're excited about or what you hate, who you hate. Give us the hot goss. And until next time, say goodbye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.